welcome. It's me, Percita, and this is Percita's Paradox. So here we are on Thursday. I so appreciate you joining me today. If you are a new subscriber, thank you so much for joining me. I greatly appreciate your time. And as always, if you are an OG, you already know, fam. I greatly appreciate you coming again to watch this beautiful channel week to week to week. So let's just get started. Coming into our Thursday and coming off of a question like we had on Tuesday, I really wanted to touch bases on the repercussions, I'll call it, or the cause and the effect of once you have identified what you need to do in your life and what needs to happen and what you need to let go of. There typically is a guilt that we don't like to talk about. And what I mean by that is, for a person like myself, being what I would call a loyalist or a person who really wants the best for everyone, almost to the degree where I will forget about what is best for me because I'm so busy trying to make sure that I am staying there to nurture and affirm things in people and situations that I believe in, that I find myself in them too long, right? And I notice that when I am then ready to walk away, I feel like it's harder for me to walk away than it is even for the person. Because at this stage, typically, if I'm walking away, it's because I've become such an enabler, such a person who has allowed a person to damn near walk all over me and treat me into a manner of feeling as if I'm just not appreciated, that it makes no sense as to why I would feel that way of like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm leaving this person hung and dry, only for me to realize that I'm not leaving them hung and dry at all. Like they've never been a part of the journey. I've been the only person in the situation or in the scenario, relationship, whatever you want to call it, that was actually pursuing. Right? Because I realize my personality is really one that believes and just doesn't give up. And by any means necessary, I'm going to make things happen. Sometimes I don't pay attention that it's only me that wants to make things happen. And it's very complicated when I have to look back at myself and go, as much as I like to say I have trust issues, I am finding myself still trusting the wrong people, right? And that's a hard blow, but that's a reality blow, and that's a little TMI, but I'll give it to you from a real place because that's what this channel is here to do, is to help and to share and to be as transparent as I possibly can be without really losing all of my privacy. But I have had relationships, even jobs, right? Friendships, associations, situations where I can clearly tell you I needed to walk away. And when I did, again, back to the guilt, I felt as if I gave up on the individual, the person, the situation, the job, not understanding it was never mine, meaning it was never a reciprocative situation. It was typically just myself. And that's so hard because the guilt of that, when you really want to believe that you made the proper choice or it was really supposed to be, right? It's so complicated. And I'm just wondering, like, how many of you can honestly say that you felt that and you've toyed with the idea of why it is that you're having such a hard time and walking away from something that is toxic. But then I realized, right, the truth of it is that that's what manipulation can be, right? That's what gaslighting can be. It's not a zone where I feel necessarily that the person is malicious or the situation is malicious or even the job, even though the job, we say that as a general consensus, but it's typically a situation or a circumstance within the four walls of what we'll call a job, right? It could be a supervisor, it could be an opportunity, it could be the way that the corporation is structured. Typically hard to really identify it as one particular thing because when you're talking job, you're talking about an attribute of a few things, right? A few characteristical background scenarios that have to happen in regards to maybe feeling that way about a job. But relationally, it's kind of crazy because you just have to sit and think about like what exactly has happened. Now, this is a moment where I toy again because I have such a strong sense of spirituality. I find myself wanting to do what I think Jesus would do, right? So you remember that old saying back in the day, what would Jesus do? And people wore bracelets and all kinds of crazy stuff. And I find myself having to agree and say, like, Jesus probably wouldn't give up because that's Jesus. But I realize he didn't ask us to do that. And sometimes I have gotten caught up on trying to do what Jesus would do, to put it in layman's terms. And it's really not what I'm supposed to do. You have to know and you have to love yourself through even the guilt of walking away from situations that are clearly not manifesting in a progressional manner for neither you nor the person or the persons, right? So I don't know. I mean, I do. I personally have an issue and I have to really get my mind together and really continuously tell myself like it's for the better. And, it's like, I don't know. I guess people would call it like a breakup. But I don't necessarily know if you can call it a breakup because some of those situations you don't really break up from the person. It may be just a part of your life or an angle that this person is in, but you still have to interact with them on a daily, right? Or you still have to be in some situation that they're going to be in. In the industry that I'm in, it is very small. So it is super difficult to not run into people that you would run into on a daily because the circle again kind of crosses over within itself. So with that being said, I can literally still see someone that I might find myself walking away from and still feeling the guilt. And what I'm saying is that how complicated is it for us to really get to a place where we understand that one, it's not guilt. It's actually preserving the factors that you need to apply to yourself. The self-efficacy of what you need to apply in regards to your social and your environment surroundings has a lot to do with why you have to walk away, but it also has a lot to do with why you feel as if there's some sense of you gave up. And I'm learning that you don't really want to allow that emotion in. It's not a matter of you giving up, but you can't work harder than people. And you have to know that you have to protect yourself. And loving someone cannot be this painful. Let me say it like that. It cannot be something where there's absolutely no sense of, I won't say joy because joy is different than happy. I would say there's nothing happening for the happiness, which would not then cause you any joy, right? So it's a scenario of understanding that if you're doing something and you're not getting the something back, then you're trying to do this on a daily, at some point you grow tired. And in that tired, even though you believe in the relational scenario, you have to walk away because you're the only person doing the work. And the guilt comes from the belief that the relational scenario can be better, but it's not being reciprocated. And I mean, I have lost, I won't say lost because these people are not like obviously lost, but I have had to disconnect myself from people I really thought were going with me for the long haul. Couldn't have told me different. I really thought that these were going to be people that were going to be in my life for a very long time. And I built serious structure with them. And, and I'm talking about like places of employment. I mean, I can think of a scenario, it broke my heart. I literally had someone in my life. I was promoted and sought out from another employer and took this person with me, and will never forget the betrayal of what transpired in it. And the irony of the story is that the individual still felt like I walked away from them. Don't really know how that really worked out, but that was what it was. And I can honestly say to you, I said nothing in the process, but it was still a scenario of feeling as if I not only didn't understand who not to trust, but I did not understand why it would happen. And I felt guilty and not willing to forgive myself for even putting myself in that scenario. And that's when I started to learn how important it was for, you to forgive yourself and for you to understand that walking away was okay. But I still ponder years later, me looking into situations and saying it's still very difficult. That feeling of guilt, of really not staying with someone even though they're not staying with themselves, meaning I'm loving them harder than they're loving themselves, has really gotten me to a place of a conclusion of understanding this simple principle. If you do not love yourself, you can't love anyone else. I'll say it again. If you do not love yourself, you cannot love anyone else. And it is such a disservice to put yourself in a relationship of any kind, friendship, marriage, boyfriend, girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever, right? Non-binary, whatever, and you're not loving yourself. You put a lot of pressure on the person that you're with in regards to trying to make you happy, in trying to blame them for things that you are very aware that you're in control of, and trying to manipulate the scenario so that you don't feel as bad for not putting the effort into yourself. That is very hard to deal with when you're in a scenario of trying to love. Because what will happen is that you'll fall in love with a person like myself. And then the person like myself sees all of the greatness in you, but you don't see the greatness in you. And you find yourself leaning on people like me to tell you how great you are on a daily. The problem with that is that at some point, you know what they're saying is true and you still don't actually do the work. So then you find yourself putting down the me person, right? Because the me person is then doing all of the things that I'm telling you that you can do, and you grow resentful. That resentment turns into something crazy, and that craziness turns into the disconnect. Then it causes a person like myself to feel guilty for walking away, because we honestly see what you're trying not to see, because it requires work. Now, let's be honest, work or no work, they're both hard. You have to choose your heart and decide which way you want to go with that. But I am stating that to get both sides to understand. For people like myself, you don't need to feel guilty. It's hard. It's very hard for us because we're perfectionists and we really want to solve problems. But we have to learn not all problems are ours to solve. So you have to let go of the guilt. And for the individuals who's causing the guilt, you have to do the work. You have to love yourself. You have to get into a place where you make you happy so that someone else cannot make you happy, but bring side dishes to your happiness already. You're the meal. Individuals that will come into your life on any level, platonic or romantic, are only there to bring side dishes to your main meal. Okay? So I hope that makes sense. I just had to get that off my spirit because it is just so much heaviness that's going around and so much expectation that's going around. And, you know, I posted up something recently and I just said expectations are resentments waiting to happen. And what I mean by that is you really have to count on yourself. You have to count on yourself in everything. Your spirituality lies within you. So if there is no spirituality, if there's nothing that causes you to be grounded, that's your first problem. Find something. I have something, you need something, we all need something. But the truth is that you have to choose your hard. Be it you're going to half-ass it or you're going to do great. They both are difficult things to do. Okay? So, in saying all that, here we go. It is the end of this video. Of course, I thank you so much for listening. Again, I had to get that off my chest. It was crucially important. Let me know if there's something going on. Videos have been a little weird, but keep sharing no matter what. Share. Your comments were so extensive last video. Yeah, they were a little different, but we'll get back to that. And I'll touch on some things next week because I think I want to do like a little Q&A about it and we'll go from there. But thank you so much, as always, for joining me, both newbies and my old folks, my OGs. Thank you so much. Remember to hit the notification button. Remember to share, as I just said, and remember to subscribe. Thank you, as always. I will see you on Tuesday. Have a blessed weekend and remember to do 3 things. live life authentic. You're amazing. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.